The next question is, the Constitution of India recognizes, options are only religious minorities, only linguistic minorities, this is not religious, this is linguistic, only linguistic minorities, both religious and linguistic minorities, and D, religious, linguistic and ethnic minorities. So the correct answer will be both, that is religious and linguistic minorities. Though the Constitution of India does not recognize ethnic minorities, but yes, Constitution of India recognizes religious and linguistic minorities. In the religious minorities, Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, Jains, Parsis, Sikhs, these are the 6 minorities, religious minorities in India. While apart from this, there are linguistic minorities. So there are linguistic minorities. The next question is, consider the following statement with reference to National Human Rights Commission, that is NHRC, National Human Rights Commission. As we know, National Human Rights Commission is a statutory body. It is not a constitutional body. It is a statutory body. It was created in 1993 by the National Human Rights Act, by the way of National Human Rights Act. And India is because India is a signatory when India ratified International Covenant on Human Rights. So when India ratified International Covenant on Human Rights, India passed a law, that is National Human Rights Act, and according to the National Human Rights Act, India created National Human Rights Commissions in 1993. Then, so let's see. It is saying, it has been given some of the provisions of National Human Rights Act. It is saying its chairman must be a retired Chief Justice of India. Yes, this statement is correct. Second, it has formations in each state or state human rights commissions. This is not correct. Then earlier it was not correct, but later it became correct because an amendment was done and states were provided with states human rights commissions also. Then its powers are only recommendatory in nature. This is correct because though Human Rights Commission has every right to investigate its own all the cases, civil or criminal or any, but its recommendations are only recommendatory in nature. They have no binding effect on the government. Then it is mandatory to appoint women as a member of the commission. This is not correct. So the correct answer will be 2 and 3 only. But let me tell you that recently in 2019 an amendment was done in the National Human Rights Act. So recently, to amend the National Human Rights Act, protection of human rights Amendment Bill 2019 has been introduced in the Parliament. And what does this bill wants to do? It wants to change some of the major provisions of the National Human Rights Act. So let's see what are the changes that this bill seeks to brought. So changes sought to be brought by this act. First change is that earlier it was that only a retired Chief Justice of Supreme Court can become the chairperson of National Human Rights Commission. But now, as per the amended provision, it amends that to provide that person who has been Chief Justice of Supreme Court or any judge of the Supreme Court will be can become chairperson. Not only retired Chief Justice, not only retired Chief Justice of India, but even any judge of the Supreme Court can also become its chairperson. Then second provision is that there will be a member, any judge of the Supreme Court. It provides three persons having knowledge of human rights to be appointed as member of the National Human Rights Commission, out of which one must be women. Earlier there was no mandatory provision that women should be the part of National Human Rights Commission, but now out of the three members, earlier there were only two members, earlier there were two members apart from the chairperson, but now there will be three judicial members, out of which one should be a woman mandatorily, out of which one woman mandatorily. Then the third provision is that National Commission for SCs, National Commission for STs, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Backward Castes, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, and Central Commission for Persons with Disabilities or with Physical Challenge will be its ex officio. The chairman of all these, chairman of National Commission for Scheduled Castes, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Backward Caste, National Commission for Protection of Child Rights, and Central Commission for People with Disabilities the chairman of all these organizations will be its ex officio members. This is one of the provisions. Next, it reduces the term of office of 3 years or till the age of 70 years. So now the term of office of the members and the chairperson of the National Human Rights Commission has been reduced. So now it is 3 years or 70 years of age, whichever is earlier. Now let's see some more provisions. Some more provisions are that National Human Rights Commission of India is a statutory body, as I told you, constituted under 1993 under the Protection of Human Rights Act. Later it was given statutory basis by Protection of Human Rights Act 1993. And NHRC consists of a chairperson. So NHRC consists of a chairperson who may be Chief Justice, retired Chief Justice, or any other Supreme Court judge. Then one member who has been a judge of Supreme Court. One member who has been a judge of Supreme Court, as I told, a judge of Supreme Court judge as one member. Then one member who has been Chief Justice of one more member has been Chief Justice of a High Court, any High Court. Then one more member, one woman member. So out of these three members, one shall be compulsorily a woman. Next, there is in addition to the chairperson and the three members, the chairpersons of all National Commission for, as I told you, Scheduled Caste, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes, National Commission for Women, National Commission for Backward Castes, and all these will be the ex officio member of National Human Rights Commission. Then the sitting judge of Supreme Court or sitting judge of any High Court can be appointed only after the consultation with the Chief Justice of Supreme Court. So it is not only that only retired judges or retired Chief Justice or retired Supreme Court judge or retired High Court judges can be appointed. Even sitting judges also can be appointed. Sitting judges, apart from Chief Justice of India, any other sitting judge from the High Court or Supreme Court can be appointed in National Human Rights Commission. Sitting judges, but this appointment should be accepted by the Chief Justice of India. So with the approval of Chief Justice of India, any judge, whether of Supreme Court even sitting or whether of High Court even sitting, can be appointed to National Human Rights Commission, but with the prior approval of Chief Justice of India. So this is about National Human Rights Commission. We have to remember that National Human Rights Commission is a statutory body. And this is at the national level. There are state human rights commission also, national level. So National Human Rights Commission is at the national level. Then there are state human rights commission also, not for all states, but yes, most of the states have state human rights commission. It is not mandatory, but they can establish the state human rights commission. States also can establish human rights commission. Then now a woman has been made mandatorily. A woman has to be appointed at the panel of National Human Rights Commission. A woman has to be appointed as a panel of National Human Rights Commission. The National Human Rights Commission was set up in 1993 by an act of Parliament, and so it is an statutory body, because statutory bodies are the bodies that are created. Statutory bodies are the bodies that are created by an act of Parliament. So as you know, statutory bodies are bodies that are created by an act of Parliament. An act of the Parliament. This is the thing. So now let me tell you, we have talked about preamble. Let me tell you a few things more about preamble. As you know that US Constitution was the first constitution to start with a preamble, to have a preamble, to have adopted a practice of having preamble to the Constitution. So US Constitution was the first to have a preamble. Preamble is called identity card of the Constitution. Identity card. Preamble contains the broader goal or aims of the Constitution. Then wherever there is a gray area, preamble, the goals set in the preamble shall function as a reference point for the interpretation of the Constitution. So the goals set in the preamble, the broader goals of justice, equality, liberty set in the preamble shall function as per one of the judgments of the Supreme Court. These goals enshrined in the preamble shall function as a reference for the interpretation of the Constitution. Wherever there is a gray area and there is a dispute of meaning with respect to the words used in the preamble. So this is about used in the Constitution. So this is about the preamble of Indian Constitution that we